starting from being a IIT and joining McKinsey, starting up, uh, choosing to travel over all the material, you know, material goals and dreams, being a content creator, and now working from the mountains. Hi, Kanak. How are you today?
Hi, Mayur. I'm doing well. How are you doing?
I'm good. I'm good. We both are in mountains, just the
Different
other side of
places.
the mountains, different places. Um, so tell us little more about you, who you are as a person. Uh, you know, uh, like everything in 5 minutes, maybe.
Okay. Starting with the tough questions. Everything who you are. So I think I'm a big introvert, and I have a. So basically, I like my own space. I like being in my own company more than socializing, and that's how I find my peace. So inherently, that's who I am. I'm a big introvert, not a very social person, and I am someone who values freedom a lot. Freedom to make my own choices, to live my life the way I want. So yeah, that's big. That's why I'm doing all of this. I'm choosing to work on my own and like live a life of traveling places where my heart takes me. What else? I am now starting to believe that I am a creative person. All my life, I used to think that I used to actually say it out loud also that I am not a creative person. Please don't ask me anything creative. But last 1.5 year of creating content has completely changed that perspective, and now I accept myself as a creative person. And uh, this lifestyle, choosing to live in different places, choosing to write and create content, is a way of exploring and nurturing that creativity for me. Other than that, I just like traveling. I like solo travel a lot because it just gives me the time to be with myself, understand myself more, and little bit of a geek. I like reading books, reading stuff. Basically, I'm a reader. I'm not a video person. So, a lot of people choose to watch videos. I choose to read about stuff rather than watching videos. So, I have that personality.
Great. Um, Interesting because, I grew up as an introvert, became sort of an ambivert because I, at a point in time, I felt like there was no option because this world is made for extroverts. So I worked on myself um, to become a little bit of an ambivert. But uh, it was when I started traveling when I realized that all these terms, really depend on who you are with, right? I realized that if I meet like-minded people, uh, then I can be an extrovert. I can be a social butterfly among people like me. And otherwise, if I cannot connect with the people I'm with, I just prefer to sit in a corner and speak to no one. And I think my journey as a community builder or starting Nomad Gao for that matter started from there. That um, everyone needs to, you know feel the belongingness, feel or have an option to choose who they want to be with, where they want to be, and what time they want to work at, how they want to work. And I value freedom a lot, as you do. And
Yeah,
it's great that we are speaking finally after planning for it for multiple
for
times.
months.
Yeah. um, and that's again a very nomadic introvert sort of a way of doing things, right?
That's true.
Yeah, because nomads in us, want to be at the right place at the right time to have this frame of mind, good internet connection, um, to record something like this. So tell us little more about your, you know, travel bug. Was it always there, or you discovered that later in life, after graduating, or
So I would say I actually was never a person who would feel or believe that I want to travel the world until I was probably 24 or 25. I was already doing my job at McKinsey. I was living in Gurgaon. And that is when I happened to watch this movie called Into the Wild. And that just changed everything. It hit me so hard. I was like, if living like possible, why am I living my life in the four walls of my home and the four walls of my office? If living like this is possible, I would not want to live the way I am living currently. And that was the biggest motivation for me, which helped me quit my job. And I just started traveling solo. It was in 2017, so 7 years ago. That's
wow.
when the travel bug hit me.
My nomadic journey also started 2000 in 2015. um, I always wanted to travel. I grew up in a small town, bought these old second-hand travel magazines, and looked at those pictures and dreamt about going to different places. And it was finally in 2014 when I got a remote job, and I could suddenly fulfill all those dreams. Uh, so, starting from McKinsey, discovering the travel bug in you, was it the trigger to quit that and start something of your own with your co-founders?
Actually, no. The trigger was just to quit the job and start traveling and probably do something as a travel content creator or something in the travel domain. That was the thought when I quit my job. Actually, plan to job quit करने का भी नहीं था. I went to my manager and I asked for a sabbatical कि मुझे एक महीने travel करना है because I was very inspired by the movie. So I asked for a sabbatical, but he denied because I was too new into the organization, not even 2 years old. So then, when he denied the sabbatical, then I said, okay, then I quit because I really want to travel.
Yeah.
So I did that, and for 3 4 months I was traveling, and then I started writing. I created a travel blog, started writing, documenting my journeys, which did well, but then I couldn't be consistent with it. बीच बीच में मोटिवेशन कम हो जाता था या समझ नहीं आता था क्या लिखूं. And at the same time, two of my friends had already started working on this idea, startup idea जिस पे हमने बाद में फ्यूचर में काम किया, and they were looking for people to help them build and do everything like operations, sales, marketing, etc. और उनके पास लोग हायर करने के पैसे नहीं थे. So one of my friends came up to me and he's like, you're not doing anything, can you help us with stuff? So I'm like, okay, cool, I can help you with stuff. That's how I started like working on that idea. And then I stayed there for 5 years as a co-founder because the idea, it just became so close to my heart. It was a social startup and there was a lot of meaning in what we were doing. So I just wanted to, with my full focus, full heart, traveling, सब भूल गई मैं 5 साल के लिए. I just focused on the startup. We grew to about 3 million people and did some great things. But after 5 years of scaling, trying to grow a startup, I felt like लाइफ ऑफ एन एंटरप्रेन्योर इज एक्सट्रीमली हेक्टिक. और 5 साल हो गए हैं, इससे ज़्यादा मुझे नहीं लग रहा कि मुझे और इतना स्ट्रेस और इतना हेक्टिक स्केड्यूल चाहिए लाइफ में. I felt like I needed to break free, and that's when I took this decision to quit my startup job and जस्ट उस समय ये नहीं पता था कि कैसे आगे क्या करना है, कैसे करना है। आई जस्ट थॉट दैट इसके साथ तो कुछ नहीं हो पा रहा है, सो आई हैव टू क्विट एंड देन आई विल फिगर इट आउट. So that's when I quit it in mid 2022, 2 years ago. And then for the next 7-8 months, I was on a break. I was not doing anything. कुछ समझ नहीं आ रहा था करना क्या है क्योंकि अब जॉब नहीं करनी है, स्टार्टअप नहीं करना है, दोनों चीज़ें करके देख लिया है. आई रियलाइज दैट दोज टू थिंग्स आर नॉट फॉर मी. सो देन 7-8 months थोड़ा से चिल किया, थोड़ा ट्रैवल किया, घर वालों के साथ टाइम स्पेंड किया. एंड देन आई रियलाइज कि अब पैसे कमाने हैं तो खुद का ही कोई काम करना पड़ेगा, बिकॉज और तो कुछ करना नहीं है. एंड विद दैट थॉट आई रियलाइज कि खुद का काम करने के लिए आई हैव टू बिल्ड एन ऑडियंस. एंड ऑडियंस सोशल मीडिया पे बनेगी, एंड दैट इज व्हेन आई डिसाइडेड टू स्टार्ट राइटिंग ऑन लिंक्डइन. That's why I started writing, and eventually things एक के बाद एक कुछ ना कुछ होते गया. Things kept falling in place, and here I am, still doing the
That
same things.
Yeah, that's great. Like I can see two instances where you know you broke free and uh, went against all odds to follow your heart.
Yeah.
Once when you quit the job at McKinsey, I mean, people dream for that, right? Like when I was in my 20s, I dreamed about having a nice corporate career, save money uh, till maybe I turn 30, and then 30, 35, and use that money to travel, because I could not find any other way. But you did it. I mean, in 2 years, you quit that job. um, that's one. And I think I'm very inspired by um, your decision to quit the startup right in the middle of COVID, after spending 5 years on building it and
It was
growing it.
actually not in the middle of COVID. I quit in August 2022. COVID
Hmm.
वगैरह हो गया था खत्म. COVID was a very tough time, so I could not have like quit between COVID. ऐसे बीच में छोड़ के नहीं जाना था मुझे.
Right.
So I quit later, but हाँ, I mean it was a very tough decision. I think मैंने पूरा एक साल लिया सोचने के लिए, and then trying to align things कि अगर मैं जाऊंगी तो कौन, how how will we find the replacement, who will take care of the responsibilities that I am taking care of, because there are a lot of things that you do in a startup. ऐसा नहीं है कि आप एक ही
Right.
चीज कर. So it becomes really tough when a core member decides to leave. So we had to really plan things around it for a while before I could actually leave.
Great. So LinkedIn, I think it comes from the introvert side of me, uh, but I feel LinkedIn is my favorite medium, um, because I don't need to show my face all the time. Now I'm getting a little more comfortable with it. Um, I don't need to interact with people all the time, uh, unlike you know, uh, unlike Twitter, where if you post something, you'll have to make sure you're there to respond to comments and retweets and all that stuff. I just find it very overwhelming. So, why did you choose LinkedIn as a medium to start with as a content creator?
I think same reason, being an introvert, because LinkedIn is only about writing. Any other platform like Instagram, YouTube are mostly about videos. They are video first platforms. I was not comfortable doing that. And LinkedIn felt like the right platform also, because if I want to get some freelance work, because I have to figure out money situation also. So I thought eventually after a few months I would want to get some freelance projects. So LinkedIn would help me generate leads for that. Uh, that's when between Twitter and LinkedIn, I chose LinkedIn because both are writing platforms, like writing first platforms, but I chose LinkedIn with that thought process कि LinkedIn पे शायद leads भी मिल जाएंगे and I can start maybe building myself as a freelance writer.
Right. So I choose LinkedIn because my again, my natural inclination is towards longer form writing. Um, I used to be a blogger. I had my travel blog. Then I built a lot of content for a fintech startup. I was working with them, and that's when I got introduced to remote work. Um, so that's my natural inclination, and LinkedIn fits just perfectly in the whole scheme of
Yeah.
things.
Also, I think another reason was that uh, like studied these platforms a little bit, spoke to people, and realized that LinkedIn is easier to grow on than Twitter. That was
Right.
also one factor.
People are more approachable on LinkedIn, uh, like in terms of building your personal network also, and I think it's much easier because I think good writers are less compared to people with good camera phones. So let's put it that way. So um, um, so for me, in fact, we did Remote Explorers podcast. We started in 2020, and I approached Lucky Ali through LinkedIn out of anywhere else, and we did a podcast episode with him.
Wow.
Um,
Lucky
yeah,
Ali is active on LinkedIn.
yes, I mean, at least in
Wow.
2020, he was, and he was kind enough to give us time. Me and Shazada did the podcast,
That's
and he was
awesome.
kind enough to give us time, and that's very insightful. It's out there on Spotify, YouTube. Um, so for those who are listening to this live or uh, recorded, the links are in the comments. But yeah, let's move on. I have also seen some of your content on other platforms nowadays, right? So how's that journey moving from starting with LinkedIn and moving to other platforms as a content creator?
Yeah, I think it's going great because I'm enjoying it a lot. So I only focused on LinkedIn for one full year. 2023 was only about LinkedIn. And then when I realized कि LinkedIn अब समझ आ गया है, I am consistently able to write on LinkedIn. I am like I understand the algorithm and everything, and now it can like it is at that stage where I can create like a week or 2 weeks, probably a month's content in advance, and then it's like on autopilot, it will be taken care of. So then I thought maybe it's time to explore another platform. All these are experiments. I am just trying to see whether I actually like doing what the platform requires me to do. So the next thing was, now writing is okay. I'm comfortable with writing. So the next thing was videos. So also wanted to make myself more comfortable in front of the camera, and also see whether I like creating videos, writing scripts in a short reel format, and whether I'm able to do that, like engaging storytelling in 1.5 minutes with उसमें videos add करना, voice overs add करना. So it started as an experiment, but I am enjoying it a lot these days. So Instagram for me is going well now because I just love the entire process of creating reels, honestly.
Yeah. So give us some tips because I can't do it, right? Like I've tried multiple times to be a Instagram content creator, and it has never happened. So back in 2016, I had a travel blog called 50 by 50, and then I tried to build Instagram also, uh, with a goal that I want to travel to 50 countries by the time I turn 50. Very modest, but very ambitious on Indian passport.
Yeah.
Uh, but soon enough, I just lost interest in creating video content, or any visual content for that matter. Um, so I would love to hear your tips about being a Instagram content creator as an introvert.
Okay, so I started safe in the sense that I chose the first reel I created this year. This year only I started created reels, and the first reel I created what I did is I chose some video clips that I already had in my phone. Some included me, some were just the sceneries of places that I visited. And I thought I'll write a script because writing तो मुझे आता है वो मैं कर सकती हूँ. So I wrote a script, and then instead of coming on camera and like speaking it out live on camera, I chose to do it as a वॉइस ओवर. तो मैंने वो वीडियो क्लिप्स लेके आया रील पे, उसके ऊपर अपना वॉइस ओवर रिकॉर्ड कर दिया जो मैंने स्क्रिप्ट लिखी थी, एंड आई पुट इट आउट. एंड दैट वाज अ सेफर वे, क्योंकि कैमरा के सामने आके ऐसे फेस टू फेस बोलना नहीं था. सो आई मीन आई चोज दैट वे फॉर माई सेल्फ, क्योंकि वो मुझे थोड़ा मोर कंफर्टेबल फील हो रहा था. एंड इट डिड वेल. द फर्स्ट टू वीडियोज दैट आई क्रिएटेड सेम प्रोसेस था कि कुछ वीडियो क्लिप्स किए, वॉइस ओवर डाल दिया उस पर, एंड दे डिड रियली वेल फॉर समवन हु जस्ट स्टार्टेड आउट क्रिएटिंग रील्स ऑन इंस्टाग्राम. सो देन आई बिकेम कंफर्टेबल विद दैट फॉर्मेट कि कोई क्लिप्स डाल दो कोई भी, और उसके ऊपर अपना वॉइस ओवर डाल दो. एंड देन ग्रेजुअली आई थॉट कि जिस जो एम से शुरू किया था, विच वॉज टू गेट कंफर्टेबल इन फ्रंट ऑफ द कैमरा, वहाँ पे भी पहुँचना है. सो धीरे धीरे आई स्टार्टेड क्रिएटिंग रील्स वेर आई एम स्पीकिंग लाइव ऑन द कैमरा. सो आई वुड नॉट से कि अभी भी 100% कंफर्टेबल हो गई हूँ, but I'm much better now. So first of all, to get comfortable, this is the process that I followed. And why, I mean, other tips I would say is कि मेरा focus on Instagram is not that I want to tell people, oh, this is a nice place, go there, stay there, do this, eat that. I am not creating such videos, things to do, things to eat, places to visit, etc. I am more interested in telling stories. So sometimes I tell a story of something that happened in a place, or sometimes I tell stories from my life कि मैंने McKinsey की जॉब क्यों छोड़ी, how do I earn as a full time traveler. I'm able to travel full time, but a lot of questions keep coming कि पैसे कैसे कमाते हो. So then I'm now writing stories about these things and like putting it out on Instagram. So it's not like I'm trying to promote travel or
Right.
promote a place in the conventional sense. I think that is one of the reasons that it's doing well, because stories are interesting. अगर आप अच्छे से प्रैक्टिस करके लिखते हो, यू मेक इट इंटरेस्टिंग, तो फिर इट does well is what I've seen. So I'm only focusing on stories. Sometimes क्योंकि कंसिस्टेंसी तो है ही कि आपको हफ्ते में एक या दो बार कुछ ना कुछ वहाँ पे पोस्ट करना है, सो दैट यू आर रेलिवेंट. बट एवरी वीक आई कांट क्रिएट सच अ बिग रील कि पूरा स्क्रिप्ट लिख के वॉइस ओवर करके. इट टेक्स अ लॉट ऑफ टाइम. सो द बीच बीच में फिर मैं कुछ फिलर रील्स बना देती हूँ which don't do well, and then I realize कि इनसे कुछ फायदा होने नहीं वाला है. Then I go back to my stories.
Yeah, great. So you talked about making money while traveling, right? So I'm curious how you make money through Instagram and LinkedIn and all the creative writing work that you do, and how what's your process behind making sure that you have enough time to get work done, and you have enough time left for exploration and creating stories for that matter.
So I do not earn anything on Instagram as of now. I only so how I earn is I work as a ghostwriter for startup founders on LinkedIn. So, like I write for my own profile on LinkedIn, I also write for some startup founders to build their personal brands on LinkedIn, and that is how I earn money majorly. Uh, Once I got some freelance projects and money's problem got solved, I started experimenting more. So, beach mein I did some one-on-one coaching sessions where I was teaching people uh, how to build a side hustle, how to, if writing is the focus, how writing can help you, get some
Right.
freelance work, and eventually probably you will be able to quit your job if that is your goal. So some coaching experiments. Then I created some digital products like travel guides, places that I visit and I like. I sometimes create travel guides and put them up for sale. So some digital products. These are some things I'm doing to earn money. Majorly, it's mostly ghostwriting.
Great. Um, so, as a freelancer, there are a lot of anxieties that you have to deal with, especially if you are on the road, right? Uh, so, what are the anxieties you face? How do you deal with them? Um, I think the human side of this conversation is very important, right?
Yeah. Um, I would say, see, the entire aim of living this life is to be stress free. That's why I quit my startup ka jobs, because I don't want stress in life. So the first thing that I do is that I only take up that much work जिससे मुझे पता है कि मुझे stress नहीं होगा. I am not समवन who's like कि अच्छा मुझे दिन में 12 घंटे काम करने हैं because I want this much money every month. I am not someone who wants a lot of money or who has a lot of materialistic needs. I live a minimalistic life, so I only choose work जितना is able to keep me like जितने से मेरा सर्वाइवल हो जाता है. Only first thing is only that much work I take. उसके अलावा मैं मना कर देती हूँ. I don't take up more work. And the second point about anxieties, because I know that every week I have certain deliverables, and आई मीन आई हैव गॉन थ्रू दिस प्रोसेस. सो पास्ट में बहुत होता था कि अरे कल कुछ देना है और आज रात तक रेडी नहीं है, एंड देन आई एम स्ट्रेसिंग ओवर इट. बट ओवर टाइम आई एम एबल टू लाइक मेक अ schedule where I am creating content calendars, even writing the content that I have to deliver in advance at least 3-4 दिन पहले, या हफ्ते में एक बार बैठ के मैं पूरे हफ्ते का लिख लेती हूँ. So then it does not give me so much stress. That's how I manage. And now I'm also trying to manage my time even better, in the sense that अभी मेरे साथ ऐसा नहीं है कि मुझे सुबह 8 से 10 काम करना है, या देर आर नो फिक्स्ड स्लॉट्स वेर आई वर्क. आई वर्क रैंडमली. जब मेरा मन होता है तब मैं करती हूँ, वरना नहीं करती हूँ, विच आई थिंक इज स्लाइटली काउंटर प्रोडक्टिव. आई शुड probably fix regular intervals कि every day और these हफ्ते में 3 दिन या 4 दिन इतने इतने घंटे या इस टाइम में मुझे काम करना है. आई थिंक दैट विल इंक्रीज माई प्रोडक्टिविटी, बट हैव येट टू ट्राई इट.
Yeah. And as a creative person, I think, it takes a lot of practice to put a discipline to your creativity, right? Um,
Yeah.
like motivation just doesn't come. Um, so there is this book, beautiful book called The Artist's Way, with a lot of exercises, and it's very popular. I've used that in the past to sort of
Yeah,
put.
I
Yeah.
have not finished it. I think probably read it 50%, but I am implementing some of the exercises. Morning pages is something that I do diligently.
Yeah, that's great.
It's a
Now,
great book.
one,
It's helping me a lot.
yeah. So one of the things I wanted to ask you is, as a ghostwriter, right? You are basically giving a voice to other founders. Uh, so, do you think, like, because I'm a founder writer, right? I believe in writing my own stuff because I feel that nobody else can put my thoughts on paper the way I can do. Uh, so, do you see that disconnect uh, as a ghostwriter in your work, or um, I'm just thinking out loud in terms of, uh, is it just me because I've been a writer before, so it's just easier for me, right?
I think there is a difference if somebody else writes for you versus you write yourself. There is for sure a difference in the kind of language that you will come up with. Thoughts, I think, when we do our weekly calls, thought process clear ho jata hai, and after you work with someone for a couple of months, you understand their mindset a little bit more. You understand the kind of things they say, the kind of language they use. तो फिर वो आपने अपनी राइटिंग में इम्प्लीमेंट करने की कोशिश करते हो. बट यस, इफ द फाउंडर राइट्स देमसेल्व्स, तो फिर और एंड वर्सेस आई राइट, डेफिनेटली थोड़ा तो डिफरेंस होगा ही. बट इफ दे डोंट हैव टाइम टू राइट एट ऑल, तो फिर उससे बेटर है कि कोई और ही आपके लिए लिख दे, एटलीस्ट समथिंग इज हैपनिंग.
Yeah, yeah. And someone who's ready to go beyond ChatGPT and give
Yeah,
authentic voice to it, right? So
yeah.
great.
And not
Uh,
everybody can write also. Not every
y-
startup founder will be able to write.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Writing takes a lot of time, right? And I think introverts make better writers because, um, as you said, instead of watching or talking to people, we prefer to be in the corner and maybe read or write. So maybe
Yeah,
the writing part comes from there. I'm not sure.
yeah.
It's a um,
Could be.
very bold statement. Um, yeah. We spoke about ChatGPT. I just referred to that. So, do you see, uh, a part of your creative work, uh, you know, uh, having a competition from generative AI, or you're cool with it?
Um, I feel whatever I've seen, the writing that I've seen by ChatGPT versus of a human, I feel there's a huge difference. As of now, there's a huge difference. आपको देख के समझ आ जाता है कि ये ChatGPT ने लिखा है. So currently, I don't think there's a risk as such. फ्यूचर में अगर ऐसा होता है कि इतना इम्प्रूव हो जाता है एआई कि वो आपको थोड़ा और इमोशनल, पुट इमोशंस इन द राइटिंग, जो अभी नहीं होता है चैट जीपीटी से जो लिखते हैं हम उसमें. और they also try to understand the person's language and sort of replicate it very naturally without it looking like कि किसी AI ने लिखा है, then it may be possible. Currently, I don't think so. It's not affecting my work at all.
Yeah, that's great. So apart from writing and creating reels, do you create something else? Do you paint? Do you draw?
I'm a very bad painter.
Same,
I
same.
don't do that, but on the creative side, I would say I do some things like I like to dance and I like to sing. I'm learning Hindustani classical music, so that's what I do.
Nice. Yeah, great. I'm sure there is a lot more to talk about, and we'll talk about a lot more things over calls and meet personally, sing in karaoke. I love that. Um, but due to in the interest of time, I think we'll have to cut short here for this session. But it's been great talking to you about your journey, about the bold decisions you have taken, you as a creator. I think just to sum it up, I think people who are listening to this and looking for inspiration, just follow your heart. Uh, eh, don't shy away from uh, doing nothing or figuring out or taking a break. Um, then one of the things that I've realized from this conversation is, it's okay to be a minimalist, as long as you want freedom and want to have a stress-free life. I think being a minimalist helps in achieving the true freedom. um, I live a minimalist life, homeschool kids, and live
Yeah,
in a peaceful area, and I can relate to that a lot. So
yeah.
thanks, Kanak, for all the insights and sharing your journey. And
Thank you for
uh,
inviting Mayur.
this
Had a
is
great
live
time.
on LinkedIn, YouTube, and Instagram, but it will also come out as a podcast in a while. Um,
Sure.
so yeah,
Yeah.
thank you very much.
Thank you so
And
much.
I'm stopping the recording.
Okay.